So welcome, it is June. I am getting Space Kitty ready for the Ultra4 Stampede, and it's also round 3 of NorCal Rock Racing. So I'm gonna give you a recap. So last race, round 2 of NorCal Rock Racing, I actually did better than I have in a couple of years. So I think the new machine is doing really good. Thank you, Phil, for making me a nice chassis. I really like it. So what happened was I started off, I qualified 7th. You know, I never go too hard in qualifying. I think there was 12, 13 cars, so I started out 7th. I finished heat 1 actually in 2nd place. Barely, I was in 1st. The last turn, Chuck got me. I was basically pushed to the end of the rock pile in the turn, you know, battling it out. And that drastically slowed me down, and coming through the rocks, there was no way to accelerate and get speed. Big deal, still starting, you know, the first row, so it really doesn't matter, first, second, whatever. Next heat, I was doing good, you know, right in first place. Just freaking ripping, you know, I was beating the shit out of this car. And consequently, what happened was, I came out of rock pile 2, which is the milder of the rock sections, and I was just freaking going for it. I heard a big bang, and this is the yoke out of the rear of the transfer case. And I want to show you guys something. Let's crawl up under this thing. Okay, here we are. That yoke was right here. And anyways, this thing doesn't see action in the rocks. It just flat out, it doesn't get hit by anything. It didn't get hit by anything. But as you can see, it tore the whole ear right off of the thing. So that was kind of weird. It was an unusual thing that happened. But I replaced it. I got a, so that Atlas yoke, oh geez, it's a couple seasons old, and I've never broke one of them, you know, actually on the Atlas unit itself, you know. So anyways, I got one from TMR Customs for one of my sponsors. I got a forged yoke to replace that old thing. I don't even know what it was made out of. Then what I did, I went and got the matching correspondent. So let's see if we can get a little light going on so you can see it. This one's also from TMR Customs. This is a forged unit. Oh my gosh, this light is crazy. So it's a forged unit because I figured, you know, if we're gonna upgrade one side, the other side's just gonna break too. And that was just, thank you very much. You have a good day, okay? Glaive. All right, drive safe. Got delivery. So I figured, you know, we got to change it out, and I was rocking a cast iron yoke I got from Yukon. It was a strap style with those little itty bitty bolts. You know, they used these little things to hold the strap on. You know, there's the strap itself. So I never was a fan of that, and I didn't know anywhere to get a 1350 yoke with a U-bolt through it instead, but TMR Customs had it. So I got the matching pair. Also, what happened is when that yoke failed, this guy right here, this is at the transfer case side, and this thing, the whole drive shaft, it just went whipping and banging around. And when it went whipping and banging around, I mean, I thought everything in the car blew up. You know, you have no idea when it's underneath your seat, and you just hear what sounds like Armageddon coming out of the car. So that's the last thing you want to have happen. So what I did was I finished going through the rock pile, pulled off the track, and then got out of the way of everybody, you know. But going through my mind, it could have been anything that busted. So anyways, this guy got left on the track in the middle of the rock pile. It left the party. It hit the ejection seat button and it flew right on out. So what I did was I kind of assumed, you know, the rest of this would still all be good. Load a new U-joint in here. Well, when I went to go put the U-joint in, you can see how far it's not centered. There's no way to get a U-joint in there. So that sucks. So I got a hold of Real Driveline, I think Friday. Asked him to please just send me out another one so I can race this for the race. And then I asked him to make me another Driveline so that way I got two. You know, and I mean, I gotta say, you know, this thing went through King of the Hammers. You know, there's a couple little marks here and there on there, but you know, all in all, it's a damn good product. So I don't know. So what I'm also doing too is I was looking at carnage on the car, fixing things, and I noticed when the Driveline went around and whacked stuff underneath the bottom of the car, it hit my shifter cable. So shifter cable. So B&M, a couple years ago when I got their amazing shifter, which here it is right here. That's the unit right there. Turbo 400 manual shifter. The thing hasn't skipped a beat. So I'm going to change the cable though. The only reason the cable went bad is because it got hit by the Driveline. So they gave me one just to see how long it would last. Well, I can tell you, I think this is what, 3 seasons on the darn thing. Awesome product. So if you want a good shifter for your Turbo 400 or whatever transmission flavor you got, go buy the B&M one. You know, I've had other shifters, like last was the Gates Winter shifter. You know, it worked, but I like this one. This is a good shifter. So that's what I'm tackling right now. Also what we got going on is limit straps. So whatever reason, I started to tear one of the limit straps out of the front passenger side. Matt Messer at Trail Gear was awesome enough. I got a hold of him last week. You know, I got new limit straps today, this morning. They literally came as I was checking my email. Super awesome. I highly recommend all the Trail Gear products. Phenomenal stuff. So Matt's been the first guy that ever backed me since I started doing the racing and rock crawling, and he still helps me out to today, and I can't thank him enough. You know, that gave me some good motivation to do this and some great support. And I also sell and install a lot of the products, so what I got to tell you is it's good stuff. So along with the rest of the car, and I know we're going on and on and on, but this is where the intercom for the car was from PCI. This is the rest of their radio. And what happened is the last rock race, I went and pulled up to it, went to go check my comms out. For some reason, the darn unit wouldn't power up. You know, it's got power, the fuses aren't dead. So I called them up last week, also again on a Friday. They were really cool. They said, mail it to us. We'll check it out immediately and we'll get you an intercom by the race. So I'm really hoping to count on that, but those guys are really cool. I bought that unit at King of the Hammers 2 years ago, and you know, they said they would warranty it out, and that's really good service. I do appreciate that very much. So in place of, just in case the way of the mail industry works, if that doesn't work, I have this unit. You know, it's not what I want to run, but it is a backup. This is what used to be in the car, but it's not my choice anymore. I like the PCI stuff. It is great stuff. So along with that, I just got regular maintenance on the car, you know, little things to do, and then I got to get, you know, the Dodge ready. So waiting on Driveline, waiting on intercom. I'm going to do some limit straps today. I'm going to change the throttle or the shifter cable out on the 400 shifter and see where I'm at. Okay, so I got the old bad slip yoke on. I got the brand new one. I didn't even realize it showed up this morning as I was working over there. We got a brand new one from Real Driveline. I had to do a little bit of work to make it fit. Some of the splines on my slip shaft, they were nicked up, so I had to get out the file, kind of clean some of the grooves off. Everything slides really good now. Got it all greased back up, and then I had them supply me with a new NEAP Go U-joints, so that's already loaded right there. These are my U-joints of choice. I think they're a good quality product. So we're gonna go get this slapped on the car. What I also did is in between was I got the old cable out. I want to show you guys. Let's see if we can get this in the light. There's where it took the hit from the drive line right there. So that's pretty nasty right there. But other than that, the cable still shifted. It was just a little bit tight. So I don't want any funny business as we're racing down the track. So that is in. I had to remove the whole shifter to do that. Pull the cable out through the bottom. I think all in all it took me half an hour of pulling everything out, putting it in, lubing everything, and then I cleaned the gate shifter too. And I sprayed some AMSOIL spray grease on there, some lithium grease, just to kind of keep things wet. So without further ado, let's get this drive line in there. All right, here we are. U-joint in the drive line. Let's see how this thing does. I don't know why I feel like semi-retarded or something today. Man, I don't know. Oh. Who knows? It's because these things, little freaking caps, whatever. Gotta push that thing down. There it goes. Boom. That new hardware. Dump all this shit out. Got my clearanced 9/16. This was from my turbo days on the last car. Got the ears all ground off. Works pretty good. Oh, these go. Wow, this is amazing. U-bolts on the 14-bolt yoke. Wow. I feel like I'm moving up in the world or something. But the only new thing I'm gonna have to do is lift up the back of the axle so I can actually rotate this thing a little bit. So here we go, a little drop of my favorite red Loctite. Always nervous going into these bigger races, even though this is a short course. You know, there's just, I swear I'm not even kidding. It seems like the short course stuff is so much more harder on the cars than doing something like, say, King of the Hammers, you know, where you're in the desert all day and some rocks. This doesn't even seem like it wants to go on. So there we go. So I don't think I'm gonna bore you guys to death with this. So, but there's the new setup going on there. So this is pretty cool. So I'm gonna finish hooking this thing together and we'll get on to the next. All right, welcome back. So check this out. I spoke with PCI yesterday. These guys are, you know, down in Southern California. Already today, I got my intercom back. So let's open this guy up. Let's take a look. Let's see, you know, what we see in there. So what I can tell you was they said the volume on-off button basically failed. And they had an update for it. So I think that's pretty cool. So look at that, dude. If you want good radios. Get rid of this box here. So here's Looks like a wrapped up ham sandwich. I guess that means I'm hungry right now. Let's see if we can get this crazy ass little wrap off, but boom, we are back. So that's the radio intercom. Oh yeah, hear that little click? The other one, it used to do that and then it stopped doing that. So that was my suspicion when I first started trying to diagnose this thing. And then I also did things like, I went through the fuse, made sure we had, positive and a ground cable like actually functioning. So now with that, it's time to get back over to the car, and this unit is going to go right back in there. So let's get this thing in. I got a lot of work cut out for me. I did a little bit more work to the Dodge even this morning. The steering box play that I adjusted, I felt last night on the way home, it was just a hair twitchy, meaning it felt like it was sticking a little bit here and there. So that is a little bit of binding in there. So what I did was I just backed the adjuster nut off a quarter of an inch or quarter turn. I'm going to see if that helps, but I can tell you that after readjusting the Borgeson steering shaft that I had on there a little bit loose, my steering's tight. There's no more clunk in the wheel. Like, very impressed with it. So let's get this comm in here, and then also while I'm at it, before I shut this camera down, I want to show you guys what I meant yesterday by being in plane on this limit strap. So here's the limit strap put back on to replace, but you see this little mounting tab right here, it is exactly parallel to the strap. And like I noted yesterday, that little mounting tab, it was kicked forward a little bit. It was putting load uneven on that strap, and that's why it tore. I've been using these straps, oh gosh, the Trail Gear 6-ply straps, 11 years I've been using these things on my various different builds. I've never had one fail. This was the first one, and that was because I put it on wrong. So learn from me, don't screw up and do the same thing. I'm gonna get this intercom in. What I got going on right now is I'm doing a little bit more clearancing right in here in the yoke. So I ground down some of this already when I went to go just kind of prep this thing, because that's what I had to do with the last one. So I have the suspension right now in the rear, a full droop, and the ears on the driveline, they're still kissing each other on the yoke. So got to make some clearance for that. And then what I did too was there's a fuel filter up in here after the Holley pump and one in front of it. But the one in front of it, at the hammers, we were trying to diagnose some weird stuff going on. We ended up ripping one of the fuel filters out in the last pit before the finish line, and I tried to order another one after the race, and it was back ordered for several months. I don't know why it took forever to get that little thing, but I got it, I put it in. I don't want to screw around with that. So need to get in here and do some clearancing a little bit. So let's get to it. Make sure you guys can see me, what I'm doing. Okay, so favorite scuba goggles, because we're going diving today. And the earmuffs. Alright, so now we need to take out a little bit out of the sides is what I'm doing.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down, they wanna rise up while you drown, they wanna fill your head with doubt, they're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises, and when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. I can see that they compare, I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and instead I walk a straight path. Not many can say that, I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go, I know you hate that. I've been doing fine, I'm not wasting any more time. I live for the fight and the climb, and I think that the pain that's deep inside is what defines. So I won't give up, I'm gonna make it to the top. I don't care what's in my way, I swear I'm never gonna stop. I could fall flat on my face and I swear I won't give back up, cause I don't deserve a thing and the road ahead is tough. They'll try to kick you while you're down, they wanna rise up while you drown, they wanna fill your head with doubt, they're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises, and when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
Not in there. No, it's not in there. Still something touching. There's still a little bit right up in there. So I'm gonna do this a couple more times and then I'll show you guys a finished product. Okay, there it is. A little hard to see, but all clearanced out. Everything spins. And it's not touching. That took probably 6-7 times of on off, on off, on off. And then what I did was I sprayed some black paint around the area where I did the grinding and then spun it and checked to see if any of the, you know, fresh paint got smeared off. So everything looks good. So charge up the batteries, get on to whatever's next. Fucking dusty, dude, right there. Love it when they do this. We get these tacky ass fucking side panels from all this shit when they wet the track. But hey man, this is great. I'm glad I'm here. So the front shocks, I adjusted the high-speed compression clickers, increased them. I talked to Phil, the shock tuner, about it yesterday, and he told me a number to start with that. And I realized I had the thing set on basically one click, which was like the bottom. Because last race I was bottoming out the front end really hard. Oh, so this is one of those things where it's like, going to be a low range piece or what? You know, for this, just because we're going up this. The rocks were pretty big and deep, you know, last time. Just for the cause, for the practice, I got it in low range. So things flow a little smoother when the cars are going faster. I mean, like this. Everybody's going slow, some people get stuck. And I can't see to my passenger side, but guarantee somebody's already turtled in there. Oh boy. Let's see where they stuck at. So they are on that driver's line, so it looks pretty screwed in there.
On the last rock pile, they've been staying to the left.
Not necessarily a good spot to stop at. Yeah, dude, this fucking jump, dude. I'm not sure. All I gotta say is this track is a pretty advanced piece. Looks pretty tight though. I don't know what in the world they're doing, dude. The beauty of these cars is it's so hard to see out of the sides. Yep. Some baller shit about to happen. come dough in my practice.
Repeat that.
think the serpentine belt just came off.
The inside one's gone.
Yeah. So I got one right here. I just got to get tools to do it.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I get out? We are getting the tow back from this awesome 4Runner. So I finished the qualifier right after I came through the tracker timer loop, start finish, whatever. Rock flew up, hit the feed line for the pump, broke it right off. Steering fluid just went all over the serpentine belt and kicked it right off. here we got a busted power steering pump right down there. This little line is broken. So it broke as we crossed the finish line. So we're gonna fix it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of hoses built at Power Hydraulics, and when I was at
You are on camera.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll
Oh,
be
and,
13 millimeters / ½ inch.
So it happened again, first heat of today. I went out there, and I think what's going on is the engine. It's rotating a little bit because it's got poly bushings or whatever you call them, and going through all the rocks seems to be what's doing it. So the engine rocks, and the feed line to the power steering, it's touching part of a piece of tubing in the chassis. So it broke the pump again. I think we're on lap 3 after we made some passes and just lost all the steering. So the forklift had to come pick us up. We got, it sounds like Chuck Crosland actually has a pump he's going to front us. And then he also loaned us a portable Sawzall. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut that piece of tubing out of the car just to get rid of, so we have clearance. And then we're gonna use the pump from Chuck, put this thing back together and go back out. So it was terrible, but it's racing, and this is a new car. It's its first season, on the car, and so things are gonna happen and things move. So we got Anthony and John taking the pump out right now, and since it was fresh from yesterday, we have the tools already laid out, so we're gonna get it handled. Got my girlfriend Heather inside making breakfast burritos for all of us and the kids. So I'm gonna get back to it so I can get my butt on the track. I am not done yet. This car wants to eat stuff out there, and so do I. We're all back together. We found a couple of issues with the car. I know my hair is wild. I got helmet head. We actually found the throttle body. I didn't even put this together. It was sticking. So when I first turned the car back on, it just revved like 3,000 RPMs. And then what I can recall is right when I was blowing up the last power steering line, when I came across the rocks, the car just revved out to the frickin' moon, and then it just kind of carted me in like a 180. And then I just hit the kill switch, and I was actually trying to grab it quicker, but there's a little bit of G's on me when I was spinning out. And as I slowed down, I was able to turn it off and shut the car off. And I didn't even remember that happened until we fired the car up and just revved right up. We're trying to bleed the pump. So what happened was I ended up taking the whole throttle body off of the intake manifold. And then I looked at the butterfly, and it would close up to about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. And what I figured out is I looked at the actual butterfly, and it was off-centered in the case just a little bit. So I took a pair of pliers and whacked the end of the shaft, and it scooted it over, and then it was all snappy. So I lubricated it up with some WD-40 and tested it. And then the throttle position sensor had some weird marks on it from a panel on the chassis of the body. So I put a new TPS on there, got in with the Holley laptop, did a TPS auto reset. So we have the car back together now. It's messy, there's oil everywhere. What we had to do was right here, took a Sawzall right there that we borrowed from Chuck Crosland and made a notch. And here's what was happening. So this piece of tubing, it was too close to this fitting. And when the engine was rocking, bouncing through the rocks, it would just torque it, and that line was actually, it's a steel line, it was shoving right into that tube and breaking the power steering pump. So that's horrible. So instead of doing it twice, we just cut the freaking tube out. So that's what we got. And we're gonna go back out for the LCQ and do this again. Okay, here we are, main race, 2024 Ultra4 Stampede. There is a lot of cars here. We have 10 laps. For our class, this is a lot of laps, there's a lot going on. So the guys and I, we talked like a little bit of a strategy, what we're going to do with this. And what that's going to consist of is because we got 10 laps, what's going to happen is I'm just going to get some laps turned. I'm not going to go crazy and do crazy stuff. So with that being said, about three quarters of the way through the race, we're going to start picking it up. And the idea is you know, we're going to be hoping, you know, other cars are wounded by that point for going crazy. So about lap 7, 8, it's going to be time to pick up the pace. So we have like 15, 20 cars, and that's a lot of wheels on the track at once. It really is. I really want to again thank Chuck for, you know, hooking me up with the power steering pump and the Sawzall. Without him, I wouldn't be racing right now at this moment in time. So I want you guys to go check out Chuck Crosland's YouTube channel. It's Crosland Racing, I believe. So this place is, I can't even fucking see in front of me. It is so dusty right now. Like this is going to be a pretty baller ass race, you know, with all the dirt on it. And it's a little wicked, you know, in the beginning like this, just because of where we're staged, I cannot see the flagman at all.
Repeat.
Oh, there he is. I can finally see the flagman. So, I mean, here we go, you know, this is... I want to finish this race. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish. And being stacked up this close with all these cars and having to go across this open tabletop jump, dude, it's not the ideal condition.
Eye on the flagger.
Okay, he's got the flag getting ready to go.
Going hot. Watch this first corner, Rob. Roger, inside. Other city of the wood shot. Fish corner coming in the first rock pile, watch yourself. First lap complete. fastest line. Someone's on your back. Copy that.